These are the assembly instructions for my boxes within a box. I'm starting with the bottom of my box, or the base. I'm just folding down on all the score lines on the edges, so there are 4 of them. And then I have my matte layer. So in the center of my base there is an octagon that is scored. So I'm going to glue down my matte layer so that there's an even border all the way around that score line. Next, I'm going to assemble the box that goes in the center. So for my acetate, I've cut out these flamingos in metallic vinyl and applied them to the acetate, again, just to carry through the theme of my box. I'm going to fold down on all the score lines. Now the green piece is the smaller piece, it's the lid for my box. So I'm just going to fold down on all those score lines. I'm going to grab this gold frame piece that's going to go on the top. I also have the cutout from my frame that I'm going to use to line the bottom of the box, so I'm not wasting any pieces, and I'm adding a little bit of reinforcement at the bottom of my box. So I'm just gluing down my frame piece. So I'm going to flip my piece over, and I have this very thin red line tape, and I'm just going to put it around the entire perimeter of that octagon. If you don't have red line tape, you can use double-sided tape, or you can even use glue, but you have to make sure that once you apply your acetate that it dries completely. So I'm just putting red line tape around the perimeter. So I'm just removing the liner from my tape. And I'm just grabbing my piece of acetate. I flipped it over so my right side is towards my mat. And I'm just placing it over the cutout for the center of my octagon and making sure that it's glued down properly on all 8 edges. Then I have another octagon that I'm going to put. This will be the underside of my box, so you can choose to do this or not. It'd be a nice finishing touch to apply a frame on the back of the octagon as well. And now I'm going to start building up my lid. So I'm just putting glue on that little triangle on the side. I'm just gluing the cut edge of its neighbor right up to the tab. And I'm going to go all the way around and do that for all 8 of those little triangles. So next I'm going to fold down just past the score line on all these tabs, folding them right against the edge there. And this becomes my reinforced lid. So I'm just putting it all along that flap. I'm folding the flap downwards and then just gluing it right up against the edge, like so. The lid of my box is done. Now I'm going to work on the bottom of my box. I'm just folding down on all the score lines. So this is the outside of my box. This is going to be the inside of my box. I'm taking this extra piece that I cut out of the frame, and instead of using it for a future project, I'm just going to use it here to reinforce my box. So I'm just gluing it in position, trying to center it as much as possible. Now I'm looking at the outside of my box. So I'm just putting glue along each tab and bringing it up to its neighboring panel, making sure that the cut edge is right against the score line of the tab. And I'm just going to do that all the way around, gluing all these tabs into position. All right, so now that all the sides are glued together, I have my lid that goes on top. I'm going to grab my base. I'm going to put glue on the bottom of my box, and I'm just placing my box within the score lines that are on my base. So it fits exactly within those score lines, and it'll help you place it so that it's nice and straight. So now we're going to build the little boxes that are going to go on each side. Now your boxes are going to fold down. You want the lids on the top, and your boxes are going to fold down right up against your octagon. And since they all have to fit, it's best to make all 4 boxes first and then glue them in place while you have the other boxes there to make sure that it all fits. I'm just folding down on all the score lines. Now that I've folded down all the score lines, this is the outside of my box. So this is going to be the inside of my box. I'm just putting red line tape around the perimeter of this rectangle. Then I'm grabbing one of my decorated piece of acetate, cut the flamingos out of Cricut metallic vinyl and adhere them to my acetate to keep in theme with the rest of my box. And I want my flamingos in this direction so that you're looking at them right side up when you're opening the box. So I'm just taking off the liner for my red line tape, and I'm just placing my acetate over my opening. So I'm just flipping my piece over, and this is the outside of the box. And for the outside of the box, I have 3 rectangles to decorate it. Now this is 80-pound cardstock, which I've embossed on my embossing machine. And I'm going to put 1 decorative panel here, 1 decorative panel here, and I'm keeping the 3rd one for later. And then I'm going to put these decorative panels right here on these side panels. And I have my decorative panel for the top of my acetate. And I have my decorative panel for the flap as well. This is the piece that's cut away from the interior of my frame, and I'm just going to use it to line the bottom of this box. So for now, I'm just gluing down these pieces, trying as best I can to have an even border all the way around in their different segments. All right, so now that I've glued these all down, I'm just going to flip over my piece, and I'm going to put the bottom in the center panel like so. So still at the inside of my box, I'm going to turn these in and put glue on both of those panels. And then I'm going to bring up my back piece and bring up my front piece. And so I'm folding the sides in so that the edge of my side tab is exactly at the score line for that other piece that we just put glue on. And I'm going to do that for both sides. And if it's straight along the edge like that, it means that your piece is nice and straight. And then you're going to put glue along those side flaps that remain. You're just going to bring them up to the sides. You want the edge of this piece to be right along the score line of your edge on both sides, obviously. I'm just going in there with my bone folder, making sure that I'm spreading all that glue. If you don't have a bone folder, you can use a ruler or something with a nice clean straight edge. My original style of box, I had little magnets that closed. So I made an alternate version. With scrap pieces of paper, I've glued 2 narrow pieces of cardstock together, and I'm just placing them over where my closure is. And I'm just putting it over like so. And then I'm grabbing one of those pink pieces, looks like a mini popsicle stick, and I'm just putting glue on both ends. I'm closing my lid the way it would close naturally, and putting those scrap pieces in place. And then I'm just positioning my piece so it's centered as much as possible. And then I open my lid and then just push down on those pieces. And I'm just going to take out my scrap piece, and that way my little closure fits nicely. It takes away a little bit of the bulk of the magnet too. I have 4 boxes that go together the exact same way. I've already done 2 of them. I'm just going to assemble the 2 others exactly as I have the one that I've shown. So now my 4 boxes are done. I'm going to flip my box around. The rectangles that I had put aside for all 4 boxes, I'm now going to glue them just on the outside of my box. So I'm putting glue on the rectangle and then placing it so that there's an even border all the way around. I'm going to be doing that for all 4 sides. So now that those 4 panels are glued on, I have another panel that I'm going to put in the middle, and this is just the bottom of the box. And now I'm going to put the lid back on my center box. You want to make sure that the side that has the little opening to it is face down on your base like so. You want to make sure that the edge of your box is flush with the edge of your flap, I'm going to place it so that the part that opens is face down on your mat. Pretty tight fit, so it's a good idea just to fit all 4 boxes. Make sure they all fit nicely together before you glue them all down. Doesn't matter which one you start with. You're just putting glue on one of those flaps, and then you're folding it upwards, making sure the edge of your box is right against the edge of that flap in the corner, and it's right against that score line. And you're going to do that with all 4 of them. And so then you just open the box like so, and you can open your boxes individually. Now we're going to work on the lid of the box. Got a piece of Cricut craft board. It's gold foil. And then I have a piece of 80-pound cardstock. And then I have my centerpiece. Now my flamingo, I cut my flamingo out on Cricut printable vinyl, and I put a white cardstock frame around. It's a very, very thin frame. And I'm just going to glue all of those so that there's more or less an even border all the way around. And this is the piece that is for my lid. I'm just folding down on all the score lines. I'm just going to put glue, doesn't matter which tab, just any tab. Fold the tab down and join those two so that they form a 90-degree corner. And you're going to do that with all 4 corners, just putting glue on the tab and joining the corners. So there are flaps on each side that are going to be glued towards the inside of my box. So I'm just putting glue all over those flaps and folding them towards the inside, and then going in with my bone folder and spreading all that glue. And this makes a nice reinforced lid for the top of my box. So I'm just doing that for all 4. So when I'm gluing my topper on the top of my box, I was putting glue on the back of the craft board. Just placing it so you see a white even border all the way around. And I'm going to turn it over and spread all that glue. And I'm just going to grab my lid and put it on top of my box, like so.